Hi, you are very welcome to this screencast of the online learning event for graphics which took place in October 19th, 2021. The focus of this online learning event is graphical communication in the classroom. I am delighted to be joined on this screencast by fellow graphics advisors Tanya Powell and Rory Farrell, who will take portions of the screencast as we explore graphical communication in the graphics classroom. In this workshop, teachers explored graphical communication in the graphics classroom with the idea of developing an understanding of different graphical presentation techniques which could be used on the journey from concept to realization, and in different techniques that may be helpful in engaging learners with graphical presentation techniques. So this is a sketch of the graphics rationale. The graphics rationale proposes the idea that on the journey from concept to realization, various skills and various learning will occur along that journey. Different presentation techniques may be appropriate. For instance, maybe some research might require some photography, and communication of ideas and iteration of ideas through freehand sketching, maybe in a 3D graphics environment, and then finally fine-tuning that idea in the form of a measured drawing or a dimensioned or working drawing in the 2D graphics space can fine-tune the detail of that idea so that it is ready for realization. While this concept to realization journey occurs in the graphics classroom, I would now like to introduce you to Tanya, and Tanya has a conversation with Emma Murphy, and you will see that she is on a similar journey in her role in the workplace.
For this portion of the OLE, I will speak with Emma Murphy, a furniture buyer and stylist, about her experiences of using graphical communication techniques in her job. The conversation was pre-recorded and will be revisited a number of times, and we will look at some of the work she completes on a day-to-day basis and how it can relate to some of the skills we try to develop with our junior cycle students. So firstly, I will speak to Emma about her role and how she got to where she is today.
Hi Emma, thanks a million for joining us on this evening's workshop. We're really glad to have you on board, and we're hoping that you'll give us a little insight into your role in industry and how you implement some of the skills that we try to embed in our junior cycle students through your work, and some examples that you give us.
Thanks for having me, Tanya. I'm delighted to be here and to speak to what I've learned from my design background and how I use it every day in my job.
Okay, so I suppose if you want to tell us what your role is and how maybe you got to where you are now.
So I'm a furniture and accessories buyer for a home store. I started my career, I actually did woodwork and tech craft teaching in UL, and then when I finished up the course, I took the opportunity with a different store, a different home store, to become a furniture buyer.
So Emma has a role within the design journey for her store, and will further speak to some of the skills she uses shortly. As we listen, we try to reflect on how we encourage our students to communicate graphically in a range of forms, such as 2D or 3D sketching, dimension sketches, technical drawings, CAD modeling, collages, mood boards, using digital presentation platforms, and so on. It is important to provide learning experiences in a range of forms to allow our students to make a choice and a judgment in relation to the most appropriate means of communication for a given task, just like some of our students would have done for CBA 2. This slide visually displays some work that Emma engages in while navigating a journey from concept to realization. We can see her inspiration source, her initial concept sketches, some refinements made using notes and annotations, and then a final realization of a product which ended up on the shelf in her store. In the next clip, I speak to Emma about the importance of utilizing different graphical communication techniques. This clip is supported with some student work, which was kindly recorded and provided by one of our associates. Throughout the clip, we try to think about opportunities that we offer our students to use different techniques in the classroom.
Okay, so we've seen how you use a range of graphical communication techniques for communicating your ideas to suppliers, manufacturers. How do you go about choosing what method of communication is best for a specific task or moment in that design journey?
So if it's something very specific, then sketching is probably the best way. If it's something that they're already quite familiar with, a photograph will often be perfect for that. Our suppliers will send us swatches of their fabric finishes, their metal finishes, their wood finishes. So oftentimes they might have a good shape for us or something that's easily tweaked. So we can send photographs or even video calls to talk about the changes we want to make, and it won't require a sketch. When it's more specific, then you'll have to sketch down each bit, especially something that they've not really done before, or again, video calls.
Does CAD ever come into it, or is it at your stage or someone else's stage?
Yeah, so CAD is very important. Typically, the way that I work is I actually send sketches over to our partners who will have CAD, and they'll do up a full technical drawing that we can then approve or tweak.
So that will go back to you then to review on and to kind of so it's a sort of a collaborative effort in order to get from your idea to actually being on the shelf or in the showroom.
Definitely, yeah, because every company might use a different package, so it's best if their department does it because it works better with their factory.
Yeah, so you're kind of saying that like different people require different forms of communication to get a product over the line. Like one standalone method isn't going to do it.
Oh no. And even one supplier you might have 3 different ways that you work with even just one supplier, and then one supplier you might be very comfortable with, and you can kind of trust them to take the lead if I give them less information. But yeah, often it's a mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious as to when you're completing your sketches, do you use different methods of sketching, 3D, 2D, dimensions? Can you give me any insights into?
Yeah, so I would do a lot of isometric sketching, and then I would always do like a front and end view, and if you needed it, a plan view. Those are great for dimension sketches because it's easiest to see on your like usually your front and end view the dimensions that you need. Yeah, I would use those all the time. And then if it's something like let's say I think I sent you a headboard there where there was different parts, and I did a little bill of materials of exactly the different parts that I wanted there, because if you don't specify, anything could be put in, so you have to be so specific because no one can read your mind. So yeah.
And do you ever find that if you just say you did an orthographic plan, elevation, end view, do some people not have the experience you've experienced being a wood technology and graphics teacher? You did that in college. Do you ever come across people in the industry who struggle to visualize what the 3D would look like if you only provided 2D views of the object?
Totally, yeah. And I think even coming from our background, I feel like we're better at gauging the size of things, and like we know dimensions because we're so used to them. Whereas, sometimes you do have to do like an isometric sketch because people are not going to always get what you're getting at. So yeah, you need to give both, or else people will be like, what, is it a massive sofa? I don't understand,
Scale.
It just depends what you're like. If you've come from a different background, then you mightn't get it, and that's just, I think it's just part of our training, I guess.
Yeah, and I suppose you'd have a fair idea of your proportion, your scale. Would you ever get prototypes in before you kind of a design, or would you ever have any colleagues that would need to see it in its physical form before
Yes, I should have said that. We get samples in all the time because comfort is key. So if it's a new armchair, as good as it can look, we need to get it in to make sure that the back isn't sitting too high when you sit back, or the arm isn't too high, all of these different things, even
So
if
the
it looks right.
ergonomics kind of
Yeah,
the
the comfort could be all wrong. But I would say, yeah, on scale and proportion, that's something that just you get very comfortable with when you've done a course that deals in dimensions all the time.
So here we can see different modes of communication used by Emma in the portrayal of her designs and ideas. We can see her use of pictorial and exploded sketches, the use of photography alongside sketches to support an idea, annotated sketches, and the use of CAD. So that we can see that there's the power of using a combination of graphical communication techniques to express an initial idea and concept, or to communicate the finer details of a product. So next I'm going to speak with Emma about some of the skills she requires for her role that we also try to develop among our junior cycle students. We as teachers must bear in mind that it's through our engagement with the graphic specification and the learning outcomes that we aim to develop and build on the key skills. So while listening to Emma's clip, we try to reflect on our learning experiences and the units of learning that we create and how they can be designed to try and develop these skills also.
Do you ever get an opportunity to sort of propose your own ideas, your own designs, or your own sort of tweaks to initial designs that you've already seen, or is there anything that your creativity kind of comes into the process?
Yes, so especially in the last 18 months, because I haven't been able to go to a show since January 2020.
So you relied a lot more kind of on your communication techniques and maybe your sketching and communicating virtually than being able to actually physically be there, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, we literally would have had nothing new coming in the doors with the last 18 months if we couldn't communicate. And because a lot of our partners they could be German, Polish, they could be in the Far East. We had language could be a barrier. So communication is, really important.
Yeah. So another thing that we try to kind of embed as a key skill among our students is teamwork and working collaboratively as a group. Do you work as a part of a team, or are you often put in different teams, and how would you kind of use that dynamic to sort of help in your everyday work?
Yeah, so in my team there's 3 of us, and then I'd work closely with one of our directors, who's also our head of buying. So we would send each other pictures all day, really. We would often split up the work, so someone might take costing, someone might take pack and label, someone else might take design. We would split up the work in a way that means each one of us can get our bit fully completed, just to help with timeline, really.
Yeah, and I suppose if one falls through or doesn't commit or doesn't fulfill the role, then the whole thing, I suppose, would fall apart or wouldn't meet timelines or deadlines.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone has to make sure and play their part, otherwise the timeline will get pushed, and time is everything with long projects or projects to take 18 months before we get something in the shop. So yeah.
Another thing I'm kind of interested in hearing about is your level of creativity and where you get your inspiration from, and how do you keep things fresh and new the whole time?
Yeah, so for me anyway, I like to know what's going on in the industry in other countries. So it's often said that maybe Ireland and the UK are a little bit behind North America, and let's say Italy and Germany and Scandinavia would be leading in design. So I would draw from all of those areas and try and bring it back in a way that works for the Irish customer. So I'd look at shops, I would look at there's these trend webinars, there's people on social media that are, interior designers leading in the industry. So I would always keep an eye on what's going on to make sure that we know what's coming down the tracks for the Irish customer. You'd see colours emerging or textures, and you would start. I always keep mine in Pinterest boards or PowerPoint boards, mood boards really, of colours that are emerging, and you'll see a picture build up very quickly. Now with furniture, it's never going to be purely trend because it's about comfort in your home, but you'll see like velvets are very popular for a while, grey paint is very popular for a while. So you'll see these things, they become very evident, and we have to make sure that we're catering for our customers and that they're able to get the products they need. So yeah, PowerPoint is how I do a lot of I'm a visual learner, so I like to have everything visually represented.
Yeah.
So it's really obvious to me at all times.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious, like, have you ever had a piece of furniture come in that was a complete dud, non-seller, or the opposite one that completely took off or was featured on someone's Instagram and then it just kind of took off? Or, is there any unique sort of situations you would have come across?
Yes, all of those things. So I've had my fair share of duds that I thought were going to be amazing, but nobody wanted them. I remember I brought in a pink chair in 2016 and it sold out immediately. And we ended up buying 2 containers of it straight away. We only got something like 40 of them in and they sold out immediately. And if we give anything away to an influencer, it's gone immediately as well. It's funny.
Okay, Emma, that was absolutely brilliant. Great insight into your role in industry and how some of your skills and your techniques that you use can equally be seen in some of the skills we try to develop with our junior cycle students.
Yeah, I think it's really, really helped my life doing tech graph and woodwork. I know lots of people who struggle with the things that we find so easy and we take for granted. So yeah, I would really believe design and sketching are so important to everyone.
So we listened to Emma about how she utilises communication techniques in her role and about some of the key skills of communication, working with others and being creative. Emma spoke about communicating with manufacturers and that she deals with companies and attends trade shows in many different countries. In that sense, graphics can be used to communicate despite the language barriers that can be a challenge while communicating in her role. She spoke about her use of Pinterest boards and PowerPoint as a form of visually communicating and displaying her ideas. So for the next portion of tonight's online learning event, we're going to explore Canva as a potential graphic design platform for use in the classroom. It is important to note that Canva is just one of a number of free cloud-based design platforms, but it's the one that we have chosen to engage with for this evening. In terms of accessibility, Canva can be accessed through the browser, desktop app, or by downloading the Android or iOS app. This can be particularly useful if you have students who might not have easy access to a laptop or a PC at home. It is free to use for students and teachers, and it is the free version that we've used for this presentation. Teachers can upgrade to the education version for free, and it's a relatively straightforward process if you wish to do that. We all know that one of the most difficult things that students can be presented with is a blank piece of paper. In Canva, there are a wide range of templates, graphics, and presentation styles that are available quickly. So Canva is quite a user-friendly platform. It can help with engagement for all learners in the classroom. It could also potentially be used as a resource for documenting or capturing a learning journey over a period of time or throughout a unit of learning, for example. Canva does allow for collaborative learning experiences between teachers and students. In a time where group work can be difficult in the classroom, it may be used as a platform for students to work together. There is also great potential for student voice, enjoyment, and a sense of achievement using a platform like Canva, and hopefully by the end of the interaction with this elective workshop, that you will see the benefits and see some opportunities for engagement with Canva in your own classrooms. So Rory is going to take over and guide everyone through some of the fundamentals on what Canva can offer.
Thanks very much, Tanya. So folks, at this point, I'm going to navigate to the Canva platform using my web browser. I am then going to give a brief overview and introduction to the Canva platform itself in terms of how to create a design, how to share a design, the kind of basic functionality in terms of adding text, graphics, images, etc. And also I'll be demonstrating some collaboration on a Canva design working with my colleagues John and Tanya. So this is the actual Canva home screen itself. Now you can see you have two options here. In terms of signing up, it's a fairly seamless, straightforward process. So if you're logged in a Google account, you click in sign up with Google, it will kind of almost instantaneously create an account for you. If you click on sign up with email, you're simply asked for a name, email and password. So again, it's a very, very quick process. So I'm just going to log in here. So this is the home screen for my Canva account. Now if I navigate up here to the top right corner and click on the icon here, I can see at the moment I am working within the JCT4 Graphics team space. There is also a personal space for designs as well. If I click on the Create a Design button here, I am presented with a whole series of options for what kind of Canva design I want to do. So you have from presentation, poster and infographic to A4 document, graph, etc. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to demonstrate the samples that were sent out with the graphics mail shot for the online learning event. Now these samples were developed as representative of what a student might produce while working with Canva and engaging with the task. So this is an example of a Canva presentation design. This is an example of a Canva poster design. This is an example of a Canva infographic design. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to demonstrate how to create a Canva design, how to share that Canva design, and introduce the basic functionality and elements such as adding text, images, graphics, etc. So again, I'm going to click on the Create a Design button up here. I'm going to choose the poster option. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to change the title here. Now, it's important to note, even though I clicked Create a Design within my JCT4 Graphics team space, as a default, this design is not shared with anyone else. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share this design with my colleagues so we can collaborate on it together in a few minutes. So I'm going to click on the Share button up here. Now you can see at the moment I am the owner. I have the option of making this viewable or editable to my JCT4 Graphics colleagues. However, I just want to demonstrate the other options and the other ways of sharing this design. So one way is to share via a link. So at the moment you can see that link sharing is turned off. And if I click this little drop down menu here, I'm presented with a number of options. If I click on the option anyone with the link can edit, I can copy that link and I can send that in an email, in a chat, on Microsoft Teams, etc. And anyone clicking on that link will be able to edit this design. The second option is with a name or email. So if I click up here and type in John's name, so I can see John Kilcanning going up here, click on his name, again making sure that he can edit this, and I click on send. And I will do the same for my other colleague, Tanya. Again, I'm double checking to make sure she can edit this. Click on send, and now I can see here that at the moment John and Tanya both have editing privileges for this design. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to explore the basic functionality of a Canva design in terms of adding text, graphics, etc. So over here on the left hand side, we have a taskbar with a number of tabs. The first one I want to look at is the More tab. So if I click on that, I can see there's a number of apps that can be integrated directly into Canva. So some of them, like Google Drive and YouTube, can be particularly useful. But in terms of the poster, the first thing I want to do is I want to add a heading. So I'm going to use the zoom function down here to zoom into the top of the poster. I have three options for text for a heading. I'm going to click on add a heading here. Type in the text, drag that text box towards the top of the poster. You can see I'm given options for the style of the font, the size of the text, the color, line spacing. I can animate the text if I wish, but for the moment I just want to put that text in the center of the poster. The next thing I want to do is I want to add in a 3D graphic. So for this, I'm going to go over and I'm going to click on the Elements tab. Now within this, you can see there are a number of different areas. I have lines and shapes, I have graphics, I have photos, and I have videos. And within each of those is a wealth of options. Some of them will be static, some of them will be animated. So for the moment, I want to look up cylinder. Now again, I'm given the options of photos, graphics, videos, or audio. I'm going to click on graphics, and I'm going to scroll down till I find what I'm happy with. So I'm going to drag this up and resize this and place it to where I'm happy. Now, with some graphics, you can actually change the color of them. So you can see here I have three different colors here. So I can click in that and I can change the color as I wish. Now that will only apply to certain graphics. What I want to do next is, before doing it further, is actually add a simple color to the background. So I'm going to hover up here where it says background color, and I'm just going to pick one of the default colors. Now for the background, you can actually add any graphic or photo or even video can actually be added to the background of a Canva design. But for the moment, I'm going to keep it nice and simple and just go with the color. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to bring in a bit of secondary research. So I'm going to click on a new tab here. Sections of a cone, and images. Now very, very important next step. I'm going to click on Tools, go to Usage Rights, and make sure that Creative Commons licenses is ticked. Now I'm happy with this image here, so this is the one I'm going to use. Now it is important to note in terms of copying and pasting, depending on what device you're using on, be a laptop, tablet or mobile device, it might not let you copy directly. So for me, you can see here I can copy and paste directly. If not, in a similar way to Google Docs or Google Slides, you will have to use that Control-V function to paste, to bring in, an image, a graphic, or a piece of text. Now, so there's my bit of secondary research. I want to bring in the reference for that as well. So my advice would be, in terms of bringing in any text from the internet that you place a text box first before you copy and paste it. So I'm going to go over to my text options here, add a little bit of body text. That's the one I want. So I'm going to drag that down. And I'm just going to resize that so it's the same size as my image. I'm going to go back to where I got the image. There's my reference, copying and pasting that, and paste as plain text is the option I want. Now that's a bit big for a reference there, so I want to resize that. So I don't have to highlight the text box is clicked. I simply go up here, font size, and I'm going to resize it. Now, another useful feature, and this is available on other platforms such as PowerPoint, is grouping. So I want the text to be connected to my photo there, so I'm just going to highlight those, click on group. Those two are grouped together, so they will move in tandem now. So that's a useful feature as well. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to bring in an example of primary research. So again, I'm going over to my taskbar here on the left hand side. This time it is the Uploads tab. So you can see you get the option to upload images, videos, or audio. Now these are a series of scanned images that I've already used. So I'm just going to click on one as an example. And again, I'm just going to resize that and place it in a position that I'm happy with. So the last thing I want to explore is the Templates tab. Now, there is a massive range of templates available for the different type of designs, ranging from presentation to poster to infographic, etc. And they're a very, very useful part of Canva. However, and especially in terms of collaboration, if you have a design already started or even completed, and someone clicks to add a template to that design, it overwrites everything that has been done. Now, I'm looking in the position that I can simply undo that, but it is something to be conscious of, especially when collaborating on a design within Canva. Ideally, the templates will be applied first before any other work is done. And one other tip regarding collaboration on a Canva design before my colleagues come in is the lock feature. So if I take this piece of text here at the top, I can see that it is locked in place. So not me or any of my colleagues will be able to come in and move or delete that. First of all, they will have to go over to the right hand side and actually unlock it. And I can do this for any video, graphic, any element that's brought into a Canva design. So I'm just going to do that for all of my elements here, my images, the text, before my colleagues come in. So again, I'm going to click on each graphic and make sure they're all locked in place. Now again, in terms of collaboration, it's just a very, very useful tool and useful function to have. And it just saves text or items or work being deleted or moved by accident, especially when it's 3 or 4 or even more people collaborating on the single page of a Canva design, be it a poster, infographic, etc. So at this stage, you can see my two colleagues have joined me in terms of collaborating on this document. And you can see in real time here, Tanya is bringing in a 2D graphic. Now again, because of the existing graphics and text has been locked in place, it just means the chance of something getting deleted or moved by accident is reduced. And again, you can see John is also bringing in graphics as well, and you can see Tanya is bringing in some text there. Now you can see John is actually after moving one of the images that I brought in. So to do that, John had to click on the image, go up to the top right hand corner and unlock it first before he moved it. So again, in terms of collaboration, that unlock and lock feature is very, very useful and very, very important. In terms of downloading a Canva design, then there are a number of options. So I can download the design by clicking the three dots here, clicking and download. The default setting for the poster is PDF print. So if I click on the little drop down over here, I can see I have an option for PNG, a JPEG, a PDF standard, PDF print, and also an MP4 video. So if it's a case where a student is putting in animated graphics or animations or video or anything like that, then obviously the MP4 video is very, very useful. And the same will apply for any Canva design, via the presentation and infographic. There are slightly different download options, but your basic for your JPEG, your PNG, or your PDF will remain the same throughout. So folks, you can see I'm back on the home screen of my Canva account, and there's two other things I want to briefly touch on. The first thing is in terms of upgrading to the Canva for Education account if you see the potential for Canva in terms of graphical presentation skills in your classroom. So if I go up here on my home screen to pricing, I can see there's a number of different options. Remember, the free account is what we're working from at the moment. And if I click on education, now it gives an option for teachers or district and school administrators. I'm just going to click on the teachers sign up now. Now it does say from kindergarten to grade 12, which obviously is an American term, so that's pretty much primary to secondary teachers, so don't let that be off-putting. And if I click on just get verified now it is a pretty straightforward process. It asks you for your name, your email, the school, your school website. It will also ask you to upload a document on school-headed paper simply stating your name, what subjects you teach, and I think a little bit about why you want to upgrade to the Canva for Education. But as I said, if this is something you're interested in and you see the potential for Canva in your classroom, then I would definitely recommend going down the road of getting Canva for Education. And the second thing I want to touch on is just the tutorials that are available within Canva itself. Now on YouTube, there's a huge amount of videos going into various depth about Canva, but if I just go up here to the Learn tab up here and I click on Tutorials, so I can see there is a host of different videos from getting started with Canva, creating videos, even a number on Canva for Education. Now again, those are very, very, very useful, especially starting from the very beginning in terms of engaging with Canva. And for the last part of this video, folks, we're just going to briefly explore what actually happened within the breakout rooms on the night of the online learning event. And we're going to look at a selection of the Canva designs that were collaborated on within those breakout rooms. So what would have happened was teachers would have went to their breakout rooms, they would have clicked on a link which would have brought in this document here. And this is a Canva poster downloaded as a PDF. And what would have happened then is the teachers would have clicked on the respective links. So for example, if I click on breakout room number 2 here, so they were given a task to work on. So you can see it's regular polygons, so it was a success criteria then. And then those few minutes in the breakout rooms, teachers would have worked in a collaborative fashion to try and meet that task. So you can see this is what the teachers of breakout room number 2 produced in those few minutes.
Now, following the engagement in the breakout rooms that has just been showcased there, teachers were then asked to respond to this poll. Question 1 was how likely they would be to use Canva to bring some of the key skills in junior cycle to life in the graphics classroom. And then, has this learning experience or this online learning event developed your understanding of the range of graphical presentation techniques that could be used in the graphics classroom? Now let us reflect on some of our learning intentions that were outlined earlier in this screencast. So has this screencast developed an understanding of graphical presentation in the journey from concept to realization in the graphics classroom? Do you feel that it could be useful to bring some of the key skills to life? And did it provide an opportunity to explore some graphical presentation techniques appropriate for the graphics classroom? The graphics team would like to thank you for your engagement with this screencast. Thank you.